Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to my review of episode 3 of Superman and Lois. And it's episode 3 of Superman and Lois ripping off season 1, episode 3 of Smallville titled Hothead. Let's take a look at this. Sarah quits the cheer score this week. Lana Lang in Smallville quit the cheer score in episode 3 of Smallville. Right? In episode 3 of Smallville, Clark decides or is railroaded by his meteor freak football coach to join the team. Jordan joins the team this week in episode 3 of Superman and Lois. So pretty nuts, right? The comparisons. It does look like they are taking some leads from Smallville. Now, we still don't know what the future of this relationship between Jonathan and Jordan is, and that is very, very interesting. Also, we learn a lot more about the Cushings this week. We continue on the thread of Sarah attempting to kill herself off screen before the show started. We find out that the younger daughter is a bully. We find out that the husband, and I forgot his name, Lana's husband, is sleeping on the couch. And if we kind of flash forward to the end of the episode, because throughout, basically, they're sitting in the truck, the Cushings, Lana and her husband, while Sarah is going to see a psychiatrist, obviously, for her depression. And she doesn't really want to tell Lana about it. She doesn't want to get that deep with her. So she just says, leave me alone, I'm fine. And so she won't open up to Lana. So that's the thread of that kind of storyline. And then she quits the cheer squad and Lana isn't happy. And actually, Lana is the one who's the instructor of the cheer squad. So she gets a bit hard on Lana, and Lana just quits. She doesn't want anything to do with this. Also, she breaks up with her boyfriend, whose name escapes me, and I don't think he's particularly going to be that important in this show anyway. Ultimately, Sarah does, I'm going to get Sarah and Lana mixed up, because Sarah reminds me of Lana in Smallville. She's playing exactly the same role. And so she says, I just need to know why you attempted to kill yourself. And she tells her she felt trapped. And Lana works it out and says, you were worried you were becoming me. And Sarah seems a bit ashamed of that because she doesn't want her mum to feel badly about herself. But could it be a reality that Sarah is being abused by the husband and her father? I don't know. He's an interesting character. I mean, him and Lois haven't hit it off. They've got this disagreement about Morgan Edge, which is interesting, but they're not really coming that forward with his character. That could be a reason why Sarah attempted suicide. So we need to look out for that. But this was a really domestic episode, and they totally ignored the stranger. No stranger in this week's episode 3 of Superman and Lois. Episode 3 of episodes are notoriously kind of distractive episodes. I don't want to call this episode a filler episode because it does really concentrate on what it should be concentrating on. Even if the stranger was in this episode, they'd be focusing on this domestic element. So Jordan out of nowhere decides he wants to join the team. He plays good football. He pretty much knocks Sarah's ex-boyfriend on the floor and says to the guy, listen, I shouldn't have kissed her and I'm sorry. And they're kind of not mates, but they're all right with each other. And there's a great moment when Clark's kind of so paranoid about Jordan being at school, he's listening in. And prior to the stuff with the football, he hears something's about to go down. And you can tell that Jordan's heat vision is metastasizing. It's getting stronger. He might use it. You can see the reds in his eyes getting bigger. And so Clark turns up. He pisses off Jordan and Jonathan. He takes them home. They find out, basically, he's spying on them with his super hearing. He has to apologize and promise he's never going to do it again. And so we focus on Lois as well this week at the Smallville Gazette or wherever it's called. And she starts investigating these kind of reverse kind of bank loans, and she's not really getting anywhere. Then this woman comes up to her and says, my son went missing. He worked in the coal mines. He left me this voice message. And then someone firebombs Lois's car. And so this strengthens her theory that Edge is behind this. And then I like the bit at the beginning of the episode. Sorry if I'm going from start to finish. It's whatever I remember, because my memory, even though I've just finished watching it for the first time, my memory is never good. But anyway, I love it as they're trying to decide what colour to paint the farmhouse. They're messing about like a family. They're getting on. Then Clark hears something's going down. He goes off. I think he goes to China, and he pretty much holds his bridge up or whatever it is. And basically, this is about to hit this guy, this Chinese guy. And then he opens his eyes and he can see Superman holding it up. He saved him. The guy's smiling at him. Superman's smiling at him. He goes like this, and Superman realizes he's not holding both of them up. It's a brilliant moment, and things like that are the kind of the things that diehard Superman fans love. You know, Superman connecting with the public. There's a relationship there. Superman smiling, and I don't think Superman smiling is a big deal like some do, but it's a nice little touch, and it's a nice little sequence. This show is really challenging Tyler Hoechlin as an actor, because a bit like with Tom Welling's Clark in Smallville, there's this situation where Clark's got to deal with Lex, Lionel, Martha, Jonathan. There's lots of Lana, lots of different dynamics. So Tom was challenged as an actor from the beginning in Smallville. And this is what you find with Tyler's Superman. There's a really funny moment when, Lana and Sarah are arguing in front of Jonathan and Jordan at, I don't know what you call it, the diner. That's it, the Smallville diner or whatever they call it. And then Lana was about to storm out, and Clark walks out the door, and she goes, "Not now, Clark." And it was kind of dismissive, and kind of the way kind of people see Clark, because Lana doesn't really know that Clark, she doesn't know that he's a Superman from Krypton, so she kind of dismisses him. And I think that was kind of funny, and I did laugh out loud. I did like that moment. And so we get to the incident where Lois is cornered after going to meet this woman who's made claims about her missing son, and she's on the floor unconscious. She's not dead, she's unconscious. And then this guy is attacking Lois. Lois being Lois, she stabs his ear with the pen, but it doesn't do anything. Then she presses the beeper to alert Superman. He turns up, and we find out the guy he's fighting is actually got superpowers. But go back a bit, what we get this kind of George Reeves Superman moment when Superman comes through the walls, and I think that was just such a basic, great effect, because back in the 50s when the Adventures of Superman with George Reeves was on, George would love to go through walls. He thought it was really cool, and he was really good at it, and so I think they kind of echoed that. So there's a lot of echoing of former live-action Superman, which is fantastic. It's great for the fans of all Superman media to actually see that. And as I say, a really domestic episode. So initially, Jordan hides the fact from Clark, his dad, that he's playing football. But Clark ultimately finds out. Clark doesn't want Jordan to play football. Again, we're going through the Smallville TV show threads where Jonathan didn't want Clark to play football. But Jonathan has a word. Young Jonathan has a word with Clark and says, I think this is really making him happy. And there's a nice little moment in this episode where you see Sarah and Jordan talking, and you think you've got this young woman who attempted to kill herself, and you've got Jordan who's been on medication all his life for depression. And they've got this thing in common. They've kind of got the same issues, and they're clicking together. And it's very interesting how all of this is going to play out. Now we get to the kind of we get to a wall of weird, because Smallville had a wall of weird with Chloe Sullivan. Well, the editor of the Smallville Gazette starts having all these photos of all these suspicious characters involved with the case. They're investigating these missing people from the coal mines. So it's a kind of wall of weird. So again, they're echoing former Smallville media, which I think is great. And then we get to the end. So this guy with powers who was fighting Clark, he's in a car, and he goes, "What do you mean she's going to take care of me?" This woman is standing right by his car, and she only fucking heat visions him. Unbelievable. Yeah, see, she heat visions him, which is amazing. But how has she got heat vision powers? How did that guy that she's killed got powers? Are they Kryptonians? I still think my suspicion is that the people working in the mines are mining kryptonite. And these people have been infected by kryptonite, and this is how they've got strength and power, or Edge is making them powerful. It could be that. Now, she does say something interesting at the end, and I can't remember her exact words, but she does say, I'm going to go and join the others, or something she says. So could it be a bunch of Kryptonians? I don't know. But it's interesting that they've created this new thread with Edge and the coal mine and the missing people from the mines, because they're already dealing with the Stranger. They've dealt with him in the first 2 episodes. So now they've got another thread to deal with. That's kind of Lois's this is what Lois is investigating, because they've given Lois her own thing with the Smallville Gazette and her investigations, which I think is important. This episode is very, very clever because it's about Clark worrying about Jordan. You know, he obviously nobody knows what Jordan's going to become. Jor-El said the powers, he wouldn't have Superman's powers, but there is some power in him, as we could see with the heat vision metastasizing as not Lana's, Sarah's ex was picking on him. And also near the end of the episode, Clark pretty much joins as a kind of coach or a helper on Jordan's team because he agrees Jordan can play football. So as I say, there are a few echoes of Smallville's episode 3, Hothead, in this episode. And it's interesting that Sarah's quit the squad and Sarah's becoming a very, very interesting character. I don't know if her and Jordan will ever date. As I say, I don't know if this is an Anakin and Padme vibe or if they're going down the Lana and Clark kind of thing they did in the Smallville TV show. There's definitely a vibe of having the teenagers, having the high school, like Smallville did. But also, this is in a way, this is kind of like the Smallville TV show would have been like if Superman was in it. And I think this is why it's good they've got the kids, because you can attract the younger people in this and like the older Superman fans. But obviously, the teenage audience is going to love seeing Superman doing his stuff. And the stuff with Superman is really, really awesome. I loved kind of Tyler Hoechling's acting when he was fighting the superpowered dude. And he was knocking him out, and Superman got up, he froze him. It was very awesome. There's a great balance to this show, isn't there? There really is. They're dealing with mental health, they're dealing with teenage problems, and it's balanced out really well. There's mysteries on this show. I just don't think having the hiatus and replacing it with Supergirl is really going to be a winner for the CW, because I just don't think the audience watching this show can stay and watch that show. And Supergirl is very, very different. There's not really a family environment. I know you've got Alex and you've got Kara and you've got their relationship, but there's more of an interesting, intense family dynamic here. There's family problems, you know. You've got these 2 teenage boys. We don't know what's going to happen with. And with Jonathan, we really don't know what this kid's destiny is, and they're not really dealing with that right now. We're focusing more on Jordan. I did enjoy having more Lana screen time this week. We're really beginning to get to know her, that she's kind of living this life, talking to her daughter about how she was brought up to smile and pretend everything's okay. And these are part of the root causes of mental health in the world we live in, of course. And so the writing is really strong, the acting is really strong, but the arcs, the threads, they're so good. And they really, really work. I'm going to give this episode another 9.5 out of 10. It's great on action. Not as much on action as the previous episode. But yes, it really does work. The emotional, domestic approach of this episode. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the start. I enjoyed the kind of banter, them painting each other. Superman going to China to save that guy or to save that bridge falling down or whatever was going on there. Really focusing on Lois at the Smallville Gazette, seeing, Superman, or should I say Clark, on the farm. But also, he's playing this domestic role where he's kind of, in a way, he's the homemaker, isn't he? It's kind of this role reversal where traditionally, without getting into trouble, like 20, 30 years ago, the woman was at home and the guy used to go to work. Now, it's either or. Anyone could stay at home and anyone could go to work, as it should be, of course. No one should have these roles, but it shouldn't be for a specific gender to have these roles, should it? Ridiculous, the kind of world we used to live in. But yeah, so you got Clark, who's got, and this is what I mean by kind of challenging Tyler and his acting ability. He's really showed me he's got great acting chops. He's becoming a great Clark Kent, like when he's pretending the water box is heavy, and then, Jordan's pretending to help him in the end. And Jordan goes, just pretend it's heavy. And Clark's overdoing it, going, oh, and it goes, is that too much? So they're in a bit of banter between them. You can tell that the young actors and the adults like Lizzie Tulloch and Tyler are having a great time together. They really feel like a family. So yes, I like this domestic approach, but I'm really looking forward to getting back to the stranger vibe as well. But it's very interesting what that woman is, where she's from, how has she got powers. Clearly Edge is behind this. Clearly Edge is building some kind of an army, or they're actually Kryptonians and Edge has nothing to do with it, which doesn't make sense because Edge has got to be doing something here. But then with what's going on with Edge, where does this leave the stranger in with the other world he's from, and the kind of the reveal we saw with Black Suit Superman the previous week wasn't even dealt with in this episode. It definitely will be. This was, as I say, you can't blatantly say this is a fillery episode because they're focusing on what the kind of partly on what the premise of the show is, like the domestic approach, which really works. It's not boring. It works and balanced out with the Superman stuff. It's a great show. It's a great episode, and it's becoming very, very interesting. Now, before I go, on today's DCEU Daily, which I'm sure you haven't seen yet because it wouldn't have uploaded, I was talking about Zack Snyder speaking in an interview and saying that Warner Brothers wouldn't allow him to do the Snyder Cut and finish the Snyder Cut unless he agreed that it would not be DCEU canon. For them, Justice League is canon. And I went on a massive rant on the DCEU Daily, so I won't repeat myself totally. And I didn't play that interview, but this is what Zack had to say about that very subject.
I famously said, and it's true, I'm not saying anything, this isn't controversial, but, Warner Brothers this film, My Justice League, is not canon. Right?
It's buffering. Wait 1 minute. Sorry about that. Few technical difficulties. Let's see if we can listen to this now.
Warner Brothers this film, My Justice League, is not canon, right? Canon for Warner Brothers is the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, right? That's in their mind, that's canon. And what I'm doing is not. And so it's everything I'm doing is known. So it's just an interesting.
It's buffering again.
Relationship, and I'm fine with it because I feel like the only way that I could have made this film with autonomy.
Technical difficulties.
Was because of that. Because of me admitting and agreeing to the fact that it is not canon. I said.
So basically, that's what it is.
I'm not saying anything. This is.
Basically, that's what he said. That Warner Brothers wouldn't have allowed him to do this unless he promised that it wouldn't be canon. Amazing. And he's saying there that Justice League is actually canon. Now, I've already erupted on my next edition of the DCEU Daily, which you'll be seeing a little bit later on. But it's absolutely ridiculous. I can't get my head around it, honestly. I repeat, as you heard there, I apologise for the technical difficulties. I'm afraid my videos on Twitter, for some reason, it must be my internet connection, always buffer. I don't know if you guys and girls have the same problem. But let's just say it again. He said they wouldn't have let him do his version of Justice League unless he promised that it's basically agreed with them that his version of Justice League isn't canon, but Joss Whedon's is. Now, Zack says there that actually makes him happy because it gave him a freedom and autonomy to do whatever he wants, which is great, and I'm happy for Zack about that. But I don't mind his Justice League not being canon, but I do mind Justice League being canon. And as I said, and as I erupted on today's DCU Daily, I just don't understand how that piece of shit can be canon. Anyway, because I found that audio, I thought I'd play it for you. Anyway, so that is my review of Superman and Lois. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this week's Superman and Lois. Did you see those connections between Smallville Season 1, Episode 3 and this week's episode of Superman and Lois? I certainly did. So comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back later with the DCEU Daily and maybe a reaction to a Steppenwolf promo. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.